All right, so we finished making these box and whisker plots for the cheese and the real cheese and cheese substitute, and you do the box and whisker plots from the 5-number summary, okay? And so you can do the 5-number summary by hand, which is what we did, okay? Or you can do the 5-number summary with your calculator. And I'm looking. All right, so we want the 5-number summary for this data set. We've been playing with this data chapter. I have it in my second list. Remember, to get to list, you push that, and then you push enter for edit, and then type it in. All right, then you go back to stat, you go to calculate, and then you're going to type in what list it's in my list 2. I'm going to push second number 2. All right, and so let me blow this up. I don't know why I didn't blow it before. Whoa, there we are. All right, remember, our mean, Sx is sample deviation, sample standard deviation, sigma x is our population standard deviation, n is how many items there are, how many's in the data set. That's our minimum value. That's our Q1, the median on the lower half. That's our median, which is Q2. The Q3, median of the upper half, and that's our maximum. So it does it for us. All right, let's write that down. We have 18, 19.5, 21, 22.5, 34. Our 5-number summary. All right, we need a number line. So 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 20, 24, okay, 30, 32, 34, 38. Okay, we'll put a dot at 18. We'll put a dot at 19.5, a dot at 21, a dot at 22.5, and a dot at this 30, what I'm thinking, and a dot at 34. All right, these guys, the 3 in the middle, do a box, line down the median, and whiskers out to the minimax. There we go. You get my point. That's it. Oh, all right, we can tell, a couple of things we can tell is this right here is 50% of the data, just so you know, because the 5-number summary separates it into quartiles. Q1, Q2, Q3 is quartiles. And so this is the 25% of the data, that's 25% of the data, that's 25% of the data, and then all of that is 25% of the data. So we can tell from this that the bulk of the data is right there. And there might be just a couple of things over here. So that's what that is. Because most of everything, and like maybe 27 as well. But everything else is 23, 18 to 23, which is typical ages for college student. All right, outliers. So every time I teach this, students have a really hard time. This is not something the calculator can do for you. You have to physically calculate it. All right, you put the things least to greatest. You find the IQR. All right, the IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Okay, and then the calculator will tell you. Then you take that number and multiply it by 1.5. Then you're going to take Q3 and add this number. You'll take Q1 and subtract that number. Okay, and you're going to see if anything is greater than the Q3 plus the number, or if anything's less than Q1 minus the number. And that tells you if there's an outlier. Let's do that. So I have this data here. I'm not going to do it by hand. I'm going to calculate, to stat, edit, and I'm going to type these numbers. 6, 12, 15, 18, 22, 50. If you're doing it by hand, maybe pause it, do it by hand, and see if you get the same thing I do. Right, I typed it into my list. I'm going to go to stat, calculate variable stats. So, okay. So again, I have my mean is x bar, Sx is sample standard deviation, sigma x is population standard deviation, n is sample size. My minimum, there's my 5 numbers summary. 5, 9, 14, 20, and 5, 9, 15, 20, and 50. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 40, 30, 20, 0. Okay, see, I'm terrible at drawing number lines. I made this one way too long. All right, let's put a dot at 5, put a dot at 9, 14, 20, and then 50. Put a box around those, and then draw your whiskers. And this data looks like that other data, where the bulk of it is over here. Well, like, what I mean is how do I know the bulk of it? Is that those 4 dots are super close together. If all the dots were kind of like evenly spaced, and then the numbers would be kind of evenly distributed. But because all those 4 dots are super close together, then I know that's where the bulk of the data is. Remember, this box tells you that's where 50% of the data lies, which is why we kind of highlight it with the box. Okay, so Q1 is 9 and Q3 is 20. So I'm going to remember that. 9 and 20. Okay, this is the same problem. Q1, 9, Q3 was 20. So, yeah. Right, now we're going to do outliers. Okay, we're going to do 20 minus 9. I get 11. This is my IQR, inner quartile range. That's that box. And that tells you like how big that box is. That box is 11 spaces big, or 11 numbers, or whatever, big. Then I'm going to take 1.5 multiplied by 11. 1.5 times 11, 16.5. I don't know why there's 2 dots. Okay, 16.5. Okay, so I'm going to take 20 and add 16.5. Q3. I'm going to take 9 and subtract 16.5. Right, so I get 36.5. And then 9 minus 16.5, negative 7. Okay, so then I ask myself, hey, are there any numbers bigger than 36.5? Nope, no numbers are bigger than 36.5. So even though 34 kind of looked like an outlier, because it was far away from the other numbers, it's not, because it's not bigger than 36.5. Are there any numbers less than negative 7.5? No, all these are positive numbers. All right, so there are no outliers. And if you just write none and show me no math work, it doesn't help you. Let's do it again. You know what? Okay, like maybe you're watching this and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't check for outliers. You know what? I did check for outliers, but like this was my data, but I did it on this other problem. Okay, hang on. I need to see if there are any numbers bigger than 36.5 for this set of data. So still. All right, and then there's 50. 50 is bigger than the 36.5 that we calculated. So 50 is an outlier. That's kind of a big mistake there. If this was our data and we got 36.5 when we did our stuff, then it wouldn't be an outlier. Let's do this data. All right, we have 18, 18.5, 21, 22.5, 34. I'm going to take, those are my 5-number summary. I'm going to take these two numbers and subtract. Yeah, I figured it was 3. All right, then I'm going to take 1.5 and multiply by 3. Get 4.5. I'm going to do 19.5 minus 4.5, and I'm going to do 22.5 plus 4.5. The 5. All right, 19.5 minus 4.5. I get 15. 22.5 plus 4.5. I get 27. So anybody, this is our ages, remember? Okay, so anybody who would be less than 15 would be an outlier. Anybody who's greater than 27 would be an outlier. All right, so 34 is really the outlier. He said 27 and 34 and could argue it. I might credit. Okay, but then we have no numbers over there. All right, so our outlier is 34. All right, this guy, if you did it, totally 150. I'm going to pause this video because it's 150. I don't want to spend 3 minutes in another video, but I'm one. All right, so I just went ahead and did the math work. If you pause the video and do this, these are the 5 numbers that you're going to get for your 5-number summary. And then Q1 and Q3 are 20 and 6. We subtract them and get 14. We multiply by 1.5 to get 21. And then we're going to add 21 to the Q3 and subtract it from 16, and we get 41 and negative 15. And 150 is totally bigger than 41. And so that's why it's an outlier. It's not an outlier because it looks bigger than everything else. It's an outlier because it mathematically is. All right, so you go do your practice work, and I'll see you in the next video.